Hey, let's talk about rock beings. Now, I'm not entirely sure where to go with this reel. I have experienced rock beings. I don't have a concise definition that people are looking for. I was asked recently by multiple people over the past week or two about rock beings. So apparently, this is a vibration that is people are waking to. So I'm just going to start with some simple things and just understand that beings of rocks do exist, that rocks have consciousness, and that they don't adhere to one space type of thing. There are many dimensional spaces. So just because we call them fairies or galactics or golems or whatever it is, whatever labels, doesn't mean it fits perfectly into that area, because it's not the truth. And I'm very big on that there are so many different spaces and types of beings and all that. So rock beings do exist. For example, there are rocks right over there. If you can see them all, I can turn it right. See all those rocks there? Those rocks are all part of the universe. They're all part of source. They're all part of creation, or you could even say rocks evolve to a degree. Maybe not in the calm biological sense that we describe evolution as. They're all part of that. Now, because they're rocks, people see them as unconscious. That's not the case. They have a lot of consciousness. Now, those rocks over there, not so much. Very low energy, very sleeping, unawake. Not really. There's a couple I can feel right now that are lit up, and lit up meaning there's a spirit to the rock experiencing the world and the universe as the rock, experiencing life over time type of thing. But rocks do have consciousness. They hold memory, they hold emotion, they can communicate with you, especially giant boulders. The most communicative stones and rocks, and whatever word you want to use. You could include crystals in there, you could include minerals and all that. The most communicative ones I've had have been the large ones, the ancient ones, the ones that aren't broken down into little pieces. It's like their energy holds more consciousness, holds more memory, holds more experience. And so the rocks themselves are conscious, a lot of them, and there's varying levels. Like I said, some are, there's very little energy and you might just get some memory or maybe an emotion, and others will talk to you, others you can experience. Now, as far as rock beings go, there are beings that are made of rock. There are, I call them, I use the word golems. It's probably not the right word, but it's the word I've used for years. And so there are these beings that are made of rocks, and their energy is holds the rocks together. Basically, they're made of stone, they're made of earth, they're made of clay, of dirt, of dust, and that sort of thing. These beings do exist. Many would call them part of the fairy world, part of the earth-based fairy world. Now, fairy, as I've explained in other videos, I feel is a loose term because there's so many dimensional planes of that existence. So where they actually exist, not quite sure, but they exist themselves as humanoid rock creatures, or even animal-like rock creatures bound together through energy that look like stones. Even some, oh, I completely forgot about him. Thank you, guys. Uh, Even some that I had a rock minotaur made completely of stone. It was a minotaur, and I haven't told this story in a long time, so thank you again, guys, for nudging me on this. I was in a hotel that had a lot of darkness in the hotel. I was with my old partner at the time, and there was a lot of darkness, and we had protectors coming and going, protection energies to protect us from this space. It's a longer story I don't want to go into on a reel, but you can find it on YouTube, I believe. And we're sitting there, or not sitting there, we're getting ready. She's in the bathroom, I'm in the bathroom, and I leave the bathroom to go put honey in a red Solo cup on by the TV as an offering to the beings who protected us. I go back into the bathroom and I'm standing there, and all of a sudden something pops into the room and we feel the energy shift. And out of the corner of my eye, I physically see this being. It's like a minotaur. It's got bullhorn type of thing. He's got the cow kind of head, big, bulky, probably 6.5 feet tall. I don't know, 6 feet, 6.5 feet tall, and bulky. And it reaches, first of all, I look at my ex and I'm like, oh my God, there's this being just walked through and she could feel it too. And I watch it take its fingers, and it takes 2 fingers. Its fingers were too big, so it takes, I think, 2 fingers, if I remember. It might have been 3. But it takes these fingers and it reaches into the solo cup and drags the honey up the side and then licks it off of its fingers. And I'm like, oh my God, it just ate the honey. And then it turns and disappears. And it's kind of like the feeling I had was it was protecting us. And so I go to the red solo cup and I look at it. And when I put the honey in, there was nothing on the sides. And even if it had hit the sides, it would have spun, because you're putting honey in, it would have spun. It wouldn't have been even. There were 2 giant finger marks drawing the honey up the sides of the cup, right where it had put its fingers in. Like I said, it might have been 2 or 3. It's been a long time. That was back in 2010 or 11. And so he was made entirely of rock, though. His whole body was rock. All almost looked like armor in a sense, how it stuck together, but all rock. And I forget what I named him in my book. He's in my fairy book, I think. And he was there. We walked outside and he followed us out and protected us. But he was what I would call a rock being, a rock minotaur, a being made just of rocks, somehow manifested into a physical form type of thing. There are other beings too. There are small ones. There are ones that look like these just stones put together and they move around. They don't talk much. And I don't know why I said they don't talk much. I think that's a message for somebody. And they, because they can talk a lot, actually. But you might be having an experience like that. And I believe somebody on Ruben's podcast said that yesterday too, that they didn't talk much. You could feel them there, but they didn't talk much. And some of that's about building trust with them, acknowledging them, talking to them, or working with them, being patient, and knowing that some beings are what we would call unintelligent and simple, and it's okay. And then other beings are very talkative and willing to communicate, and some have fear, and some have hesitation, and all of this around working with humans because of the destructions we've done. Now, there are other beings too. There are beings, I saw a rock being that was like the size of, it was bigger than the trees in Pennsylvania. It was moving through the forest. It felt me as we were driving. I was, again, with my ex at the time, driving through the mountains of PA, experiencing a bunch of stuff. It's in the Fairy Experiences book. And one of the beings I met was this rock being. I don't think I actually wrote about him, but he was like 2 stories high, taller than the trees, moving through the woods, saw me and just came rushing down, and higher dimensional. He was existing on another dimension where the trees where we weren't physically moving, but the trees were moving with him moving through his plane of existence. And he was the basis of my fiction character Rock in my short stories for the Fae Awakening fantasy series. Rauck is what I used. And these big boulders with vines that came down in the consciousness, the vines, the rocks, it was all one consciousness, but they all held together. It was like they were held together through the energy of consciousness. And so if you see beings like this, they do exist in a variety of forms, made of stone, literally made of stone. And then others who have like a humanoid form, and have somehow integrated the rocks into their biological form in that sense. So these are all real. These are very real things, different dimensional places from below the earth, the caverns, and surface level, and galactics. I haven't met galactic ones, but I'm sure, as they're saying, there are galactic ones out there. So keep that in mind on your journey. I love you all, grateful for each and every one of you.